What's good, y'all? It's your boy Havoc. Final round. Last night was crazy. I mean, it was an emotional roller coaster, no matter who you were pulling for in the fight. But I gotta say this, you guys, it was a good night for boxing. It was a phenomenal night for boxing, and a lot of us been questioning whether boxing's still alive, and it is. These guys brought it back for sure, and there's more exciting fights to come. That's what's so great about this. And boxing's been on its heels for a little bit, for a few years now, and these guys put on a valiant effort and performance, and I'm just so glad that they did, because it was good for the sport. It was a good night in general. But lots of narratives playing out for this fight, and there was a lot at stake, so let's get into it. There's lots to talk about, man, and so bear with me. But let's talk about the prediction I made first. Look, I had Tyson Fury winning by TKO or KO, somewhere around 5 to 8 round range. He got taken out in the 10th round. It wasn't a perfect prediction, but it was the right prediction. And that's what we do here. We keep it honest. It's unemotional. We stick with boxing. Every once in a while, we'll veer off to the politics or the money or some of the social issues that leak into the sport. That's okay, but for the most part, we keep it boxing, you guys. We keep it honest. So glad with the prediction, and it went well. So after that, let's talk about the tactics of each fighter and how well they perform. Let's start with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury was a little disappointing in his performance, I have to say, but at the same time, because he was kind of lackluster in his technique and fundamentals, it put on for a pretty spectacular show, so I can't complain too much. But I'm just judging him on how he performed, and I even think he kind of seemed a little disappointed in his performance after the fight. I do think he came in a little confident, and he knew he was the better boxer, he knew he was the better fighter, and he probably relied a lot more on his size in this fight compared to the second one. And not just that, but his heart, guts, and determination. And because of that, he got knocked down twice. He gifted that right hand to Deontay Wilder. He should have never gotten hit with that right hand. He didn't come in with a jab. He didn't come in with feints. He didn't use any head movement. He just walked in with his head freaking, exposing his center line, and he got caught. And that was very reckless, because you take that chance with Wilder, man, it's a risky game to play, but we all know Tyson Fury has a lot of heart and guts and determination, so he found a way to win like he always does. But, I just mentioned it. He wasn't disciplined with his jab. You didn't see him start establishing it to the later rounds. I didn't see him throw it down to the body like he did in the second fight. I didn't see him feint his way in too much. He wasn't disciplined with cutting off the ring. It took him a while to establish his body attack. He was just off, man. And I gotta say this, if that's Usyk last night facing that Fury, I think we have an undisputed champ in Usyk. I know a lot of you are sleeping on this guy Usyk, and I'm trying to tell you, stop sleeping on this guy. You're overplaying this size thing. Usyk is the real deal. And I'm not saying he's going to beat Fury, but I think it's a much more interesting fight than people think it's going to be. The guy's a winner. He's no Deontay. Well, I don't want to say Deontay's not a winner, but put it like this. Usyk is no Deontay Wilder. He has phenomenal footwork. He has phenomenal ring IQ. He has phenomenal boxing skills. He has all the tools in his arsenal. He's a southpaw. He's got it. He's strong mentally. He's a winner. Okay, it's gonna be a completely different fight with Alexander Usyk. Completely different. And remember, Tyson Fury did get knocked down by a former cruiserweight coming up to heavyweight in Steve Cunningham. Think about that for a second. Now, he did get the win and knock him out, but still. And Steve Cunningham is also no Alexander Usyk. But we're overplaying this whole size discrepancy things. If you got skills, dude, you can overcome that. And I much rather be a skilled boxer that doesn't necessarily have that one-punch KO ability like Deontay Wilder than be Deontay Wilder with just be a one-trick pony. I'd rather be the skilled boxer. I'm going to win more fights that ways, and styles make fights, and that's a much more interesting fight than people are giving credit for. And even if Fury's on point, I still think it's going to be close. But in terms of Deontay Wilder's performance, I mean, I said a lot of stuff before the fight. I made my analysis, and a lot of things were true and manifested. Bulking up to 240 was a huge mistake. I said it, like, dude, you can bulk up all you want. You're still going to be 30 pounds lighter than this guy. He's still going to be the bigger man. You know, getting more muscle and being stronger is not going to make you good in the clinch or inside fighting. You have to understand technique and positioning, and you have to have experience doing that. You know, gaining more muscle is not going to do anything for you. That 350-pound bench thing absolutely meant nothing. If all that stuff mattered, then bodybuilders would be dominating boxing, and they're not. And as far as all the training, man, I once again also said that. I was like, hey, he looks good in training. He's working on the right things, but it takes a while to rewire your brain, man. It takes a while to do that. And you've been training a certain way your whole career. You're about, what, 30-something years old? Dude, you are what you are at that point. And we really didn't see any of the stuff he was working on with Malik Scott. And even, you know, he came out strong with the jab and cross to the body. He did that in the first 2 fights. He really did. Now, he made it really apparent in the third fight, but he went down to the body in the first 2 fights. There's not really a difference in the way he performed. There really wasn't when you think about it. Malik Scott really didn't do anything. That's my opinion, though. I think he's a brilliant boxing mind, and I'd like to see him work with some other fighters, but I really don't think he made that much of a difference. I think Deontay Wilder would have performed the same way regardless if he had Mark Breland or Malik Scott. You're always going to make adjustments if you got a rematch. But in terms of Deontay Wilder, he came out strong to the body with the jab and the cross. Here was the problem. I said he needed to have variation. You know, he just kept on going down to the body the first 2 rounds. Jab, hard jab. And he was throwing everything behind it, the kitchen sink behind it, bad intentions. And that wasn't a good idea because he set a tempo and a pace for himself he wasn't going to be able to sustain. Now, maybe the game plan was to go hard to the body the first 2 rounds and try to look for that right hand in the next 2 and knock him out. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, but you don't have to throw all your power into that jab to the body. Look, you're a heavyweight, dude. He's going to feel that punch when you land it. He's going to feel it. Tyson Fury's going to feel it. Just shoot down, touch him up to the body. You're trying to set shit up. You got to be like a magician there. You got to hide your true intentions, sleight of hand, misdirect the crowd, you know, misdirect your opponent. You know, you got to set things up. And even Scott said something of the sort like that in the corner. He's like, dude, we have to, you know, hide what we're doing there. We can't just show our hand to him. You have to set it up, disguise what you're doing. And he never did that. And, you know, he did throw some feints, but he set a relentless tempo for himself, and he got exhausted. And I think part of it was he was trying to get respect and space in the ring, and he was just throwing so much behind those punches, and he wasn't going to be able to sustain it. And when he needed to be going down to body, just touch him. Just touch him. You know, and feint your way. Relax. Stick and move. You know, you got time to work. You know, you got time to work. And then eventually come back to the head. And he abandoned it once again. Once it got to like the 3rd round, he completely scrapped it. And he started shooting punches to the head and getting desperate. And that's what I'm saying. It's a subtlety to be able to box. There's a mental pressure you have to learn how to deal with, and a calmness and relaxation you have to be able to develop through years of training and competition in order to fight like that. But he put his best foot forward. You guys, he did the best he could. And it was what it was. It was what it was. But he fought very hard, and I got to commend him for that. But I think he shouldn't even have gotten those knockdowns. I think Fury gave that to him. And I was saying it earlier. I did a little live cast and commentary on the fight. And I was like, dude, Fury, what are you doing? This guy's still dangerous. You got to respect him to a certain degree. You know, shoot your jab. Work your way in. Don't just walk in. And even Sugar Hill was saying in the corner, he's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing, Fury? Like, Work your jab. This dude is done. Pump your jab and get him out of there. Knock him out. And eventually he figured that out. He picked up. And, you know, was Fury off a little bit? Yeah, but he still had some awesome techniques and fundamentals in there. And at the end of the day for Deontay Wilder, let me put it like this, you guys. If this fight happens 10 times, he loses 10 times. It is what it is. He's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. If he comes in light into the fight, it's gonna be towards his disadvantage. If he comes in heavy, it's gonna be towards his disadvantage. Now, I think it would have been better for him to come in light. You know, maintain speed, maintain your cardio for out 12 rounds, stick and move as best as you can, but I still think he would have lost. And even if Deontay Wilder came out looking like Sugar Ray Leonard, I still think he would have lost because he's just facing a better boxer who will always be able to make adjustments, who has more heart, guts, and determination. But I do applaud Deontay Wilder for his performance. Now, let's get into the disappointment I felt. And this is going to go outside of the realm of boxing a little bit. I got to spark up a cig for this one. It's going to get heavy. I was disappointed in Deontay Wilder, man. I felt like he had a chance. I mean, he won me over when I was watching that fight and I was doing the commentary. Like, I probably repeated it over and over. This dude's got heart. He's fighting his ass off. He's got heart. And I couldn't even deny it. As much as I was resentful for the way he conducted himself after the rematch, I couldn't deny the way he was fighting. It was crazy. He earned my respect back. And then after the fight, he takes 10 steps back and he doesn't want to shake this man's hand. Doesn't want to shake Fury's hand and give him credit. And not only that, you know, close a chapter in your life and close the book, you know, and move on. A loss doesn't define you, Deontay Wilder. Some of the greatest fighters of all time, Muhammad Ali, took L's, man. But the way they conducted themselves and the way they bounced back is what made them great. And even if you don't bounce back and beat this guy, you know, dude, this fight, I heard somebody on the broadcast mention this was comparable to Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, and it was. But it will never be that because of the way Deontay Wilder conducted himself. You know, I'm all into boxing, you guys. And when I saw that fight between Mickey Ward and Gatti, I don't even remember it for who won. I remember it for two fighters laying it all on the line, fighting their ass off, pushing themselves to the brink through excruciating pain and agony, and finding a way to win, finding a way to fight, even if they ended up losing. You know, it's fights like that, and this one, even here, they resonate with us, man. They resonate not just with boxing fans, but people in general. People who just watch just to be a part of the spectacle. It's something that resonates about a performance like that. It's deeper than boxing because we're all in a fucking fight, man. We're all in a fight in life. We're all dealing with hardship, loss, tragedy, you know, struggles, financial issues. And, you know, when you see a performance like Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward, or even Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, two guys just leaving it all on the line, no matter what they're dealing with, what they're facing, overcoming, that hits home for all of us because we all need a little inspiration in life, you know, because we all got to fight. We all got to fight. Maybe not in the most literal sense of walking in a ring and boxing, but we're all fighting something in life. And when you see a performance like that, it inspires you to get through your pain and hardship. I was rooting for Deontay Wilder in the sense that I wanted to give him credit. I wanted to give him credit. You know, I'm not into being fans of fighters for race, religion, nationality, but I do understand why fans, when they can relate to the fighter, why they root for them. I can relate to Deontay Wilder, and that's why I wanted to give him his props. because I can relate to that man. I heard his story of what he did for his daughter. You know, I can relate to that because I'm currently going through something with my son. I'm African American, he's African American. We all know, we don't have to get into it, the struggles of what African Americans in this country have been through. I can relate to that. He came into the sport late, I came into the sport late. And I know how hard it is to jump into sport like boxing at a late age. He's an American, I'm an American. You know, I can relate to Deontay Wilder on so many levels, and I wanted to support my brother. And it was just the way he handled himself after the fight was just very disappointing. Now, he did make a video or statement saying, hey, better man won, I lost. But I was just let down that he couldn't close this chapter. He shared something amazing with Tyson Fury in that ring. You know, they both pushed each other to their limits and showed each other what they're capable of. And I hope down the line these two become friends and, you know, remember this fight for what they did and how legendary it was. You know, I have hope for Deontay. I think deep down he's a solid dude. You don't do the things he's done if you're a loser. You know, if you have nothing, no heart or guts or determination, you don't. But I think he needs to learn a lot. You know, it's like Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. Mike Tyson, he got his ass whooped by Lewis, and they had a lot of beef going into the fight, and Lewis was like, you know, I know it's not the same thing exactly, but, you know, I remember Tyson saying, you know, after that fight, this peace came over him. He's like, the better man won. I lost. I need to get my shit together. And I wish Deontay Wilder would have done that, not just for us, but himself. He's gonna have to go through a lot of pain dealing with this loss. For himself, man, to give himself peace. I felt bad for him, very sorry for him in a lot of ways. Because he took a beating, you guys. He took a freaking beating. And I can see how disappointed he was in knowing that you can see it in his face. Like, I can't beat this guy. And that's why I had so much respect for him in the fight going forward, because I think he knew that he couldn't beat him, but he still fought like a warrior. But damn Wilder, I just wish you shook that man's hand and respected him, because I can't support that. But I'm not gonna close the book on him yet. I think there's hope for him. I think he can redeem himself. Maybe not so much in terms of boxing, just as a man, you know what I'm saying? Representing a lot of people, just as a man. He had a chance to kind of heal everything that he messed up, you know, especially with Mark Breland. He should have said sorry to Mark Breland. And I'm happy for Mark Breland as well, because there was redemption, and Tyson Fury. I'm happy for them both. There was redemption, there was justice and vindication for those guys. Especially Mark Breland, who had his name thrown under the bus and his reputation. And who knows the death threats and all the freaking crap he had to deal with, you know, with the LDBC. It's clear that those excuses were bogus and false. And Tyson Fury proved that in that last night. So I'm very happy for Mark Breland and Tyson Fury for getting their justice, redemption, and vindication. But yeah, you guys, it was a little long-winded. All I have to say was it was a phenomenal night of boxing. Comment, like the video below, subscribe, tell me what you think. Till another one, it's your boy.